Hi, my name is Danny Valkyria, and I am very sick and very tired. But today I wanted to record something for you guys, but I don't really have the energy for it today. So I am making this. Kind of got the idea of this video from this lovely individual here, who I will put on screen. Because I have struggled with names and I don't want to butcher it. But pretty much started because of my mic quality. So I figured I would just make this, and I felt it would be more interesting than just a generic response. Now hopefully this video will be helpful / useful. I don't know, as I'm kind of bad at explaining things and I'm dumb. But yeah, throughout the video I'll also give tips on things I do, but everybody's different, as well as everybody has their own types of styles of what they want to do in their videos, talk about, recordings, all that stuff. So yeah, if my video is not helpful, YouTube was originally a search engine. Kind of still is. So I will try to link videos that I can down below in the description. I don't know why I had to say it like that, but down below I will link stuff. But yeah, this is how I make Soulcalibur videos. And kind of the rest of my videos as well. So yeah, the first step to having any kind of content creation is the setup. Whether you're on, providing content through consoles or through PC, you need a setup. So I will be going over my PC setup currently, and then I'll talk about what I do for console for Soulcalibur as well. Also, for these types of videos, my first tip of the day is make sure you have a script. That way you don't sound like a bumbling idiot constantly making new videos. So yeah, if you ignore the multi-dimension that's currently above me, this is Streamlabs OBS. Now for PC, I use Streamlabs as well as for streaming because I'm lazy. And Streamlabs, think of Streamlabs like the iPhones of streaming, and then normal OBS as the Androids. That's how I think of it. But yeah, depending on what you use, the settings are roughly the same anyway. It just depends on what you want to do. I know Streamlabs is a little bit more heavier on, I think, your CPU. So experiment. They're both free. So yeah, so this is my Streamlabs. Ignore all of this. Or I guess not. I don't know how to structure this video. This is why you should have a script. But yeah, so first thing I'll go over is my recording settings to kind of help out, and then we'll talk about all this stuff. Ignore this bar for now because I'm just playing music. You'll be hearing different music because I'm hearing copyrighted music right now. That way I'm not speaking endlessly into the void and having to hear myself speak. So here is my video settings. So base canvas is 1080p. I pretty much have generic settings. This is what will be captured pretty much. For audio, I obviously linked what my desktop is and then what my microphone is and disabled everything else because I don't know multi-channelings, separating audios, for Discord. I'll link a video to that down below, but it depends on everything. I know Streamlabs struggles with that, so if you have normal OBS, you're golden. There's 5 videos that all have the same thumbnail. But for output, which is what you'll be, I guess I'll show my stream settings, why not? So yeah, I use the encoder of the base encoder that Streamlabs comes with. I do have an NVIDIA graphics card, but for some reason, my Streamlabs hated that idea. So I've kept this, because I used to have an AMD graphics card, and I switched to NVIDIA, and apparently my Streamlabs did not like that. So results may vary. But I have, enforce streamer encoder settings, rescale output, and then I rescale my stream to 720, because it all depends on what your bitrate is going to be for what you want to do. Or for how high of a quality you want your stream to be, as well as your internet speed. So I'll explain this. CBR is the rate that you want to go with. And then bit rates, it's the way that bit rate works is so let's say I have 20 megabytes a second for upload speed. Generally, you are safe at half of that. That's what I believe. Other people will say different. They say you can go like the 70-80%. So like, you know what that means? That's like, you know, 16, 17 megabytes a second out of 20. But I like to do less than that. So I have a very comfortable 5700. I jump between 5700 and 6000. Just depends on how much my internet feels like griefing me that day. But it all depends. If you have, let's say, an 8 megabyte upload speed, then you want to be around 4,000 to 5,000. Now, this is not the total bitrate you'll be using because audio also uses bitrate. Very important. What I do for all my tracks, because I have multi-tracking, which I'll explain in a second as well, because when we go into recording settings, you'll see. But for streaming, I have audio track 1, so I put audio track 1 as the bitrate of 256, which this means is it's going to add 256 bitrate to the bitrate that you have set, so I'll be around 6,000 anyway. That way, I chose 256 for audio because it's crisper. It's nice. I think most settings, I think default settings sets it at like 160 or 192. 192 doesn't sound horrible, but I do for 256 because I like audio to sound good, so you guys get decent sounding content. But yeah, so that's where I keep my audio levels at for all, since I do run multi-tracks. Oh, the default bitrate's 192. There you go. This is how you do a video on the fly without a script. But yeah, so I separate my audio tracks and put them all at 256. When I stream, it just goes off this one though. So there you go for streaming. In terms of Xbox and PS4 streaming, should be the same thing. I know you can customize your bitrate through them, as well as change the resolution of the stream before you start. I've never streamed through my console. I got Elgato, but I will go into that for the section of console that I will put. Have I mentioned use the script when you do these types of videos? But for recording and everything, so I set my recording path to the SSD that I have, and has currently the most data because footage is chunky. MP4, because that's just the most editor-friendly format. Words are hard. I'm sick. Remember this. Don't bully me. But yeah, so I put everything in the MP4 because it's convenient, and that's why I render my YouTube videos as anyway. And as you see here, the multi-tracks, again, the recording software. Wow, I went off topic. The recording software I use is the default software that comes with Streamlabs. OBS is the same thing. If you have an NVIDIA graphics card, you can experiment with that setting. I tried to, it hated me, so I went back to this and said, have fun, my CPU. Rescale output for recording, I make sure that it stays at 1080p. Just that to avoid anything funky going on with like the games suddenly changing resolution, because that sometimes happens because games are wild. Soulcalibur's done that a couple times where it's just changed my rendering settings because who knows. CBR, so this is kind of like the streaming CBR. This is pure experimentation, right? So it depends if you're just recording and everything, which this is. Stuttering, which this is. Remember that it taxes more onto your graphics card if you have the NVIDIA settings, or your CPU. So if you're trying to stream and record from PC, definitely experiment during streams. Just be like, hey guys, we're having a Scuff stream today. I'm testing stuff. Come watch Scuff. And if you're a VTuber, that's by law anyway. We're all scuffed. But I put mine at 2600. The reason for this is my editing program goes up to 2600 anyway for rendering videos. So I just kept it the same, just for convenience. Actually, I think my rendering stuff goes to 25,999, so I want to point higher for quality. Keyframe interval, I keep at 2. Apparently, that's by law. Always have it at 2. I don't know why. I don't think anybody knows why. CPU usage, again, this is all on what you want to do. Very fast is the standard. It pushes your CPU a little bit, but also kind of relieves it. I think the more you... I can't touch it right now because I'm recording. The more you go down, the higher quality everything will be, but your CPU will work harder. So if you're streaming and recording, that's going to be rough. So I keep mine at very fast because I'm lazy. I can only experiment so much, and I want my PC to live. I just blew my mic. For profile, you can have main or high, I think it is. I kept that at main, apparently. Experiment. That's going to be a lot of what streaming is experimentations. But that pretty much goes over, like, this setup. You can have multiple scenes as well, but watch other videos for that one. I'm just showing you what I do. Like, I'm in my recording tab, so if I'm recording Caliber, obviously I have a scene set up for that. If you want to go and learn about scenes, click another video. I'll leave one in the comments below. Like I said, I'm just showing you how I edit it. I kind of want to, like, inform, but I'm also, you know, not great at explaining things. So, yeah. So yeah, the next thing I wanted to talk about was my microphone. The mic settings specifically, because I got the comment was very nice about my audio settings. So I figured I'd shine the light here on that I have a $40 USB mic. It is the toner mic. I'll display the photo here on the video. And I'll leave a link below in case you guys like this mic. As well as another video by the Video Nerd. He compares a whole bunch of mics. I will leave a link for that as well. But yes, the way this mic comes with a lot of white noise. So the way I do that is I add filters, and I'll add the video of him explaining these filters as well. But these are the filters that I have. I have compressor and extender. I can't remember which one it does because I set this up once and then never dared touch it again. There is one more. I'll explain these first before I start getting all out of whack. I'm sick. Leave me alone. But these are the settings that I have for the compressor and then for the expander. For the expander. God. I can't even look down because I haven't. Oh my god, whatever. But these are the settings I have for both of them. You can add a limiter as well. The limiter, what that does is it makes your mic never peak. But I don't like that, so I didn't put it on. Put it on if you want. Every microphone is different, so mine has a lot of white noise. This eliminated the white noise for me. Also having a mic arm helps as well, because if it's on the desk, vibrations exist. But yeah, those are my mic settings. So that's why my microphone doesn't sound like my old videos, is because it took me a little bit to research how to get rid of it. And yeah, so a lot of videos that I looked at got rid of white noise during editing, and I said screw that, I'm lazy, so I looked up things to get rid of the white noise during recordings. A lot easier. But yeah, so now I will tell you about the console setup, which is nearly the same thing as the PC setup, except with a couple of caveats. So right here, as you see, I have Elgato. If I had my Xbox or anything turned on, I'd have this enabled, so I'd hit that and bam, footage. But yeah, I use the Elgato HD60S. I use the little black box that's external, because I didn't want to get the internal one, because I never want to touch the inside of my PC again, because PC building is terrifying. I've heard good things about the internal one, so it's personal preference. I use the HD60S because I don't have a 4K TV. If you have one, probably need to get the Elgato 4K then. Elgato is just the one that's most comfortable with a lot of people that want to record through their consoles. So that's why I got it. Now you don't have to have a Elgato. You can use USBs. My buddy Nictana uses USBs because they're convenient. Buy a 16GB stick of USB and see how far it takes you. Experiment. Record at different, different qualities and different lengths. Obviously try to go for 1080p because YouTube is hurtful in terms of quality. So there are other options out there that is not the Elgato. Brighten Horizons, look up a whole bunch of things. Playtest everything. And see what works for you. That's like the most advice I have. in terms of setup. Like I said, I'll be linking a whole bunch of videos down below. I guess I'll categorize it as well for the segments for efficiency and cleanness. That way it's less of a headache. But again, these are just a couple of videos I'm recommending. Do your research, go around, look at different types of things, because your setup is your setup. It's unique to you. What works is unique to you. Again, like, for example, the whole encoder settings, NVIDIA hates me. So I'm just using the program settings until I figure that out. But yeah, that pretty much does it for the setup, and then I will talk about recordings and how I do that. Alrighty, so the next segment is recording. What I am going to explain is how I record things, how I do my recording setup, as well as, you know, what I do for prep as well. So first things first is always prep. I make sure that all my sources and OBS are fine. All my settings have stayed the same. I just do a quick look. I generally, you know, check settings every 2 to 3 videos just to make sure OBS and nothing else changed anything behind my back, because that has happened sometimes. It's embarrassing. But yeah, so the next thing I do for prep is I decide on what game I'm going to play. So obviously we're taking Soulcalibur. So another thing that I try to think about before, you know, I actually start playing is how am I feeling? What kind of character am I going to be playing as? If it's Mina, then it's very easy to be like, all right, we're doing rank today. Hi. But I also try to think of some stories. One of the inspirations I have is for like storytelling is another YouTuber by Lotus Asakura. He's very good at telling stories, even just about his day, about topics that he likes. So I just try to think about what topics I haven't talked about, maybe some experiences I've had on stream or anything. It is what it is. Sometimes I have no topics, and things just spring to my head. Like, you could talk about, like, how you feel about a movie as you're doing the content that you want to do. It's just a little, it helps a little bit to know, to, I guess, keep your, you know, videos segmented, I guess. Keep the videos, quote-unquote, interesting, which is what I still struggle to be with, because sometimes I just got nothing. But then I just try to commentate on the gameplay and try to, like, be like, oh, I am going to do a step forward in a second. Let's see if it hits. AKA, I'm going to try to attack the opponent before he hits me. You can add some words to get some excitement and everything, but that's what I try doing. Step forward, by the way, came out of nowhere. I just noticed that every opponent at low rank steps forward on round 3 towards you to try to attack you. So that is what happened, and it became a staple of the channel. Some things just happen. But once I have an idea of what I'm going to be, you know, what character I'm going to be playing as, and maybe like a story or, you know, an experience I've had recently, I guess I could talk about, like, my next video, like, hey, here's how I was dying. That's what I do, and then I go and, you know, I press play. But before that, you do the prep of what game you're going to be playing. So audio is a big thing. So as I'll show you, I got Soulcalibur in the background here, but you'll see behind me of the speakers and everything. I keep all my game settings very low. What I try to shoot for is, I'm going to remove my avatar real quick. As you see in my microphone, I'm spiking the yellows and reds. That's generally because I'm speaking at a slightly higher volume than what I'm normally do, which is why my voice is always strained. Because I'm a silent humanoid. But yeah, so I always try to keep it above yellow. As you see, a lot of other people I've noticed mess with this, so they'll mess with the slider to get, like, you know, how many decibels they want things lowered. I keep things at 0 because I consider people who are watching on TVs. And a lot of people are like, oh, well, I could turn this down. Oh, I'm peaking. Maybe I could turn this down so that I'm just getting quieter and quieter and quieter. I'm going to have to fix that in editing now. I shouldn't have touched my mic. But yeah, so I keep things at 0 decibels. I want things to be at full volume. But as you see here, in contrast to the game, sometimes it's a little loud. This is at 1 volume, so in editing I'll go and lower that maybe by like a decibel or 2, right? But this is what I try to keep it at. I try to keep the video, or the video game, the game around, you know, kind of between like the 40% to 50 mark. So around here. Obviously, some things happen in games where it spikes up higher, like up to here. I'd say that's fine, because normally I'm screaming at that point when something like that happens. But again, you can adjust that. I prefer in editing. I don't like touching my sliders at all. During stream, I might adjust it a little bit, but for games like Soulcalibur, where it has a hard slider where you can pick 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up to 15, I pick everything at 1, and obviously music 0. As you see here, no music's playing, so that way I can add in the music layer and customize that volume. Customization is very important and allows ease of things. But for my Soulcalibur settings, I keep everything at 1. But that is, I guess, pretty much it. Because if I can Alt-Tab properly, as you see here, just on the game, you know, you can just play things. Some lag, I think that may just be caliber, or maybe it is my settings, who knows. But, yeah, it also, if you are getting lag on Caliber, it could just be Soulcalibur. It runs poorly on Xbox for me, because I have a first-generation Xbox. But yeah, that is kind of it. And then obviously I'll do the set, and depending on how long of a video we'll want to do too. I'm still struggling to feel like what I want my time to be in terms of ranked videos. But yeah. I don't even know why it's lagging. It might just, Soulcalibur just might need a reboot. So it'd be like that when it'd be like that sometimes. I'm stealing Lotus Score's freaking things. And I'm still scuffing up buttons. Even though I got a tutorial of scuffing buttons. But yeah, so I play, you know, obviously I go and play the video game. I go do things like that and make sure and just, you know, talk and try to have a good time on Caliber. But that is pretty much the recording segment. In terms of Xbox and everything, that is entirely up to those settings. I don't know how console recording, just pure recording, works. Again, Nictana does that. I don't, because I just went with the Elgato route because convenience and I'm lazy. But there are probably videos of that. I could try finding one, but I don't feel confident in posting a link for that. Be like, oh, check out this video. This is what you should do, because I literally don't know, because I've never had to do it. So maybe if you catch one of Nictana's streams, you can ask him what he does for it. But I got no idea. But yeah, that is the recording segment of it. Pretty easy once you have a stream set up. And then, like I said, you just try to think of a story, or you just try to play the video game good, which is something I struggle with heavily. Yay. Yep. But yeah, so this is Vegas. This is my editing software that I use. I find it to be very good. It, again, personal preference. A lot of people like Adobe Premiere. I don't have that because I'm cheap. I'm a small YouTuber slash streamer. I don't get the funds to give Adobe money every day. But if you do, and you can comfortably afford it, go for it. Adobe is very good. I've heard a lot of good things about it. And again, if you want to use DaVinci or another free editing program, go for it. More power to you. But yeah, so this is my editing program. So what I do is I just slot in the footage here. Normally, you know, Vegas takes the time to, you know, create the files that it needs to edit it. But since this is just the Nictana collab, this is just the raw footage. As you see here, I have 3 tracks. Now, if we're going back to the prep setup, or stream setup, recording setup, again, I have audio tracks, so I stream, so everything goes into audio track 1. This means that my audio, my game, my music, if I play any, all that is right here in track 1. So for recording, if I just record and I don't stream at the same time, I just, bam, peace, kid. That way I'm just left with the game audio, and then the microphone audio. And then when I want to add music, I just go and boop. I'm going to turn all these down just in case I'm an idiot and hit play. But yeah, so I'll have my video track, audio track, and then music track. And then if I ever want to put like special effects and stuff like that, I create another video track. That way I can put, you know, just anything up there, like this little Mina here. Just bam. bam. That way there's an overlay. Again, I'm very bare basic in editing, especially for Soulcalibur videos. I consider them a blessing whenever I record Soulcalibur videos, because I like keeping full matches in, and I don't cut in between matches. I don't like saving that little microsecond of, you know, space, because I like to think that people want to watch the match in its entirety, so I keep it. It just means I have to talk a lot more, and which means my voice hurts easier. Yeah, so for this first track, I do like special effects if need be, or text as well, but it's all different editing programs, different styles. Just to show you what I do. So if like a match ends, everything, let's see here, where is a match ending for Nikitana and I? Yeah, so if I say, hey, I'm gonna go find my next opponent, I'll just simply hit my key, you know, my shortcut to cut things, and I'll just simply go when to the next match starts. So that's round 2. Yeah, so normally during my videos when the screen loads, I'll try like to get it beforehand a little bit. Probably should have used an online match, but hey, whatever. And then I'll like cut it in, that way it's just, you know, a smooth transition right into it. And then I have all my transitions here. I use all base Vegas for now until I get better at editing. Again, I don't really have editing tips. Again, Soulcalibur videos for me, as I've titled this video, I'm just showing you what I do for Soulcalibur videos. This is what I do. I just, you know, have pretty things like, oh, push the footage out of the way. Well, bam. Now, the footage will be pushed out of the way. And then, obviously, if I want to add, like, editing stuff, I can create different effects with audio effects and everything. It all depends on how the video is going, what I think might be funny to people. Me being unfunny, that is very hard. At least I don't find myself funny. Alright, so let's say the video is made, right? This be my video. This whole thing is edited. Just imagine it's edited. The last step I do, obviously, when you're done editing a video, I normally just watch it through one more time, just in case if I can think of any other ideas for the editing, if maybe I don't like an edit, or just to double check that nothing got kind of like out of place. Like if I have multiple cut things, like suddenly I lost my fade effect here and everything. So I'll go through and rewatch my video in here one more time. I normally put this quality. I think all editing softwares you can do this, but I had pizza burnt. But I normally change the what the preview would be. I keep mine on auto, but you can entirely edit everything while being in low quality. It depends on the type your PC has. You have. Since upgrading my graphics card, I can turn it into full, but I still like just editing in auto. That way there's the program's not trying to like use so many resources that there's like a jump in my video that I'm like, oh my god, that looks really bad, why is it doing the thing? And then I realized it's gonna come up crisp in the video itself, just not in the editing program. So like even like this thing here, like sometimes it just staggers itself, but then when I post the videos, it's very clean. So yeah, so let's say this video is all done and everything else like that. I will go over to this little thing and hit render as. Now it depends on what type of editing program you have. Going back to when I said the stream setup, or slash, you know, video setup for recordings, the whole CBR thing, how I keep mine for my recording tab at 26,000. The reason for that is I used to use this thing. Editing programs might have presets that you can just click to render as. So I used to use this thing called Internet, which, as you see here, used to have a bitrate, or has a bitrate attached to it. So that's why I say, you know, I kept mine at 26,000, so this thing could go to 26 million. Experiment, because I used to render my things, all my videos, in this, and this was the maximum bitrate that, you know, Vegas could go. So I would always, you know, crank that up, and yeah, I used to use this until I realized that there was a better quality version right there. I have favorites on, but yeah, it just got buried in these menus. I don't even know how to find this thing anymore. Oh, I found it. But yeah, so it just depends on all of this stuff. So like, I suddenly was just like, why are my videos looking bad before I even post them? Because if you guys don't know, when you post to YouTube and you don't get the VP3 encoder, it might just be VP. That's the best encoder that YouTube has. That's what all the bigger YouTubers get. That's why the videos look so crisp. I think we get something like AOC or A something. If you right click on this video, you'll see what I'm talking about. But yeah, so I was discovering that my rendering settings weren't great, and then YouTube was cutting that not so great setting even more in half. So that's why if you look at my earlier videos, especially when I started editing, that they're still pixely a little bit. Even, you know, that could be both YouTube as well as the program. But then I was just like kind of going through my editing program, and I found that I had a better setting this entire time that I could have been using. So experiment when you're, you know, recording. So you can record like a 5-minute video of like, I don't know, of anything, just a PNG on the screen. I guess don't record anything. Try to go with like, you know, just go into training mode, have your characters idle, right? Move around a couple times. Do just like a minute of that, or 5 minutes, depending on what you want to do. And then just experiment what kind of format you want to go. Because even though it said internet, it wasn't actually great for internet. Who would have thunked? So that's why I use whatever this is. And I found that was best for my videos. So yeah, then I would hit, you know, I would name the title and everything, and then I hit render, and you could tell when something is very powerful when your CPU starts capping out. So like, I'll even show you here. So my stats for my my PC and everything, like right now for recording, I got, you know, 30, you know, 30, whatever. But whenever I render, I have to close everything out just so my CPU is not at 100%. It normally stays between like 93 to 98. So I'm definitely using full capacity of my CPU when I render. But again, that's experimentations. You want to see what your PC can handle if you're trying to edit through like either Xboxes or Sony's, like through Share Factory. I got no advice because I don't know. I have an editing program. I got Elgato. I didn't have to do that. I don't really want to, again, link a video that I don't know, or nor am I confident in trying to, like, be like, oh, okay, check out this person, and it could be completely wrong information. So definitely try to look around and see, you know, what other people's setups are if you are strictly editing through console. I've heard that Share Factory is actually pretty good for PlayStation. Xbox, I have no idea. Good luck. I'm sorry, that's all I got. It's just good luck. Poor Xbox. But yeah, so for rendering settings, just again, experiment. A lot of recordings for either... A lot of setups for recordings and streams is all experimentation. I experimented a lot before I even posted, like my first actually edited video. And then for my first stream, I had like 10 test streams. And I would like ask my buddy, be like, yo, check this out. How's the quality look? How, like, is everything crisp? Is when I'm moving and things flashing on the screen, is it looking like a pixelated mess? Or can you actually tell what the hell is happening? So yeah, that is it for the rendering portion and everything. That's kind of like my advice is it's experimentation, experimentation, experimentation. And I think even like a lot of other videos when I was searching around heavily in the beginning for things was exactly that. Just experiment. Don't be afraid to. If you really feel like your PC is chugging during rendering, it might be good to just stop that rendering as a whole and try a different setting within your rendering settings. It's all click and see if it works. That's what being a YouTuber and streamer is. It's, God, I hope this works. Click. Oh, God, we are all in constant pain. But, yeah, that concludes this little editing section of mine. Again, Soulcalibur VI is a blessing to me because I have to edit less for videos like Code Vein or Legend of Zelda when I was doing that before my file was yeeted itself to the stratosphere, or even Resident Evil. That's a little bit more different styles of editing because I have to cut out things that I deem useless. Like, if there's a long space with kind of like nothing interesting happening on the screen. I guess I'll add like a little tidbit to the like recording prep. If you're playing like a story game and everything else like that, kind of, or even like a game you've played before and you know how the flow of the game is, it's better, I guess, to do instead of doing it like in mid like recording session, to be like, oh, okay, I'm gonna cut this out. You know what I mean? You could segue into that if you already know what you're doing, or if you're like me, who's experiencing Resident Evil 4 for the first time, and just be like, all right, how much can I keep this out while trying to keep like a condensed story of like the game, what I'm talking about. It's experimentation. Who would have thought? I'm still experimenting to this day. And I've been doing this whole YouTube thing on this account for about 2.5 years. Been doing YouTube for like 11 or 12. It's rough in these streets. But yeah, that's kind of like the little advice I guess I have, is just try things out and experiment. And then, yeah, I will move on to the last part. Alright, so the last part of this video will be about thumbnails. About what I do for thumbnails. Just to let you guys know, I hate thumbnails. I hate making thumbnails. I think it is annoying and used to cause me great stress and agony. So I will tell you my process of what I do now for thumbnails, as well, I guess, like the creative process of how I create them. I will let you guys know that I spend a very agonizing amount of time on thumbnails now. I generally make thumbnails within 2 minutes. I have shortened down my thumbnail process to what used to be 2 to 3 hours to 2 minutes. You know, results may vary. I make generally simple thumbnails that I think look cool, and that's what I do. I make the thumbnails for me, because I hate them so much that I don't even like, I think of what's cool and to me, as well as something like I can enjoy. If there's any quick ways I can make it, I think of that, and that's pretty much it. I do consider the point and purpose of the thumbnail as well, but I will explain to that or I'll explain more about that as I show you my process of making thumbnails. My thumbnails are about to get a lot less unique. Alrighty, so now we are on Soulcalibur here, on character customization. So it depends really like what my thought process will be at the time of the video. I guess, for example, let's say I am dominating with Mina, or I am just cooking people the entire video. Generally, I'll start getting an idea for the thumbnail around, you know, halfway point to like near the end of the video. Like, as I'm recording, like during that thought process is going on. So if I'm like, damn, I really dominated with Mina today, I want Mina to be my thumbnail today, right? So I'll go into here, depending on whatever costume like she's wearing, and I'll just be like, all right, what kind of pose do I want for Mina today? So let's say I don't really, you know, get to use this pose. I'll try to find like other unique poses with her. So I'll just, you know, slow down the pose speed, try to get like a decent angle of her. My thought process is leave a little bit of the top of the head here. Yeah, my mouse is coming up. That way for resizing differences and stuff, which I'll go into. But yeah, so let's say if I just wanted to use this background, and I think that's a good pose, I will just hit print screen, and I will now talk about the editing programs, or thumbnail programs I use, quote unquote. It is Paint. So here's Paint. So I'll just Control V, and hey, look there's the screenshot. Let me move that over, and wha-bam! That's the base canvas of the screenshot that I'll use for the thumbnail. Yeah, I am really simple. If it's for Xbox, it will depend on the character. What I have also done, remember I'm sick, I have to constantly remember that because I've done like 5 million takes of this at this point. If it's on Xbox and everything and somebody has like a really cool design, I will, after, you know, the video is recording and I'm trying to make the thumbnail, I'll go into the video file itself and I will, you know, pause the video at a point of a character that I want to take a photo of, and I'll screenshot that as well. So let's say, I guess I should say for actual special poses. So if I wanted like a generic base thumbnail and everything, I put the, the Soulcalibur logo here in my second program, GIMP, which is also free. If you notice, I like free things and things that are on sale. Very convenient for my life. So what I'll do for that is, because we can make a thumbnail for this. Shoo. I'll obviously change the thumbnail for this actual video. But yeah, so we want, let's say, I guess we should go back to the other one pose. So yeah, let's say we wanted to keep this pose. See, I'm thinking of thumbnails right now. It's for a hypothetical Soulcalibur video. I'm like, oh, what would be a good thumbnail for this? But yeah, so we want this kind of pose, right? And what I will do is I will turn on color fill, right? So Soulcalibur it's all in saturation 9, so that means it's all hard colors. But the important thing is if you can see Mina's face. Hold on, Paper Girl, I need you to stop moving for a second. That works. So if you don't see, like, Mina's face does change pigments when you go from the actual world canvas to color fill. The shadows on her face and outfit change, which is very important. Color fill is great, but you need to select a color in the background that isn't on her outfit. At least for my process of what I do. If you have a better process of what you do, dope. Because the whole point of color fill is to make Mina be the only thing in this, this photograph here that we're taking. Because what we're doing with color fill is we will be erasing the background. So since it's Mina, what I normally do is, because I know there is no blue for her, right? There's no blue on her outfit whatsoever. So blue is a safety color for this version of Mina anyway. It depends also on, like, who else is there. So let's say we're using that as our thing, control paste. Or, sorry, print screen. I'll bring paint, crop it down. And then I gotta confirm the crop. I'm sick, remember this? And then, yeah, then I'll go and save the file as a PNG. As you're about to see here, I am very good at my file names. Please don't be like me. So, now that we have our base for Mina, again, this is a video that we're dominating on. Let's say now, if it's for, like, consoles and everything, let's say if it's for a person, my opponent, who did something wild to me, right? So for that thumbnail, I want to shout out the opponent, right? They have a dope design and then just schooled me and humbled me a little bit. I want them to be in my thumbnail because, I would hope it would be a little cool for them to see, like, wow, my character's on a thumbnail. That's pretty dope. Let me go watch me school this kid real quick. So what I'll do for that is, obviously, after I'll pull up the video file, and let's say if they critical edge me, I will take a picture, a screenshot of the video, with them CEing me at, like, a unique point during the CE animation that, like, not a lot of people get to see. Or just try to do, like, maybe if somebody gets a level 3 GI on me, and if people are actually using this as editing advice, I'm using terms from the game and confusing people. But, I'll just create and highlight and screenshot a special scene and make that the thumbnail. But yeah, so we got our little blue image here. So what I'll do is I will now open up GIMP. So GIMP is free. I think I'm a couple versions behind. If you also try to use GIMP, because again, it is free, I like GIMP. Good luck with video tutorials, because people have different versions of the layout in, like, every GIMP video I've seen. So I've had to learn this. So what I'll do is I will open up the file that we just made. Alright, so now we have Mina here. The first thing I do, and again, I'm showing you guys what I do. Depending on what you use is entirely up to you. Your style is going to be different from mine. I'm just spilling the beans of what I do to make Soulcalibur videos. The first thing I do in GIMP is I add alpha channel. Which this does is it creates a transparency layer. Transparency is the thing that we want. That way it's just Mina in the photo and not all this blue, right? So another thing when you do this with Soulcalibur is, I don't know if it's my eyes, but there's different hues of blue. So this is darker up here. and darker down here, while this is all light. So, like, let's say if I wanted to get rid of all the blue now, a circle gets created around here because these are two different types of blues. Again, when you use color fill on Soulcalibur, be very careful that none of the colors are on your character, or else you are going to be struggling. Because you will start just deleting your characters bit by bit. So yeah, so I want all this blue gone. I click the color select tool. So what I'm doing is literally selecting the color, and I am hitting delete. Bing. And that is why I add an alpha channel, because now most of my work's already done. So I try to get rid of this as well. Think. And now most of the backgrounds do. So what I do now is I hit none, and then I do the painful process of zooming in and manually selecting colors. Yes, I do delete things by pixels. It is an arduous task. Would not recommend on anybody. But yeah, so I try to get rid of as much blue, or whatever color, I do use, out of it, because when I do put it in my background that I want Mina to be in front of, right? I don't want any kind of blue showing. Now, the reflections of the weapons, obviously, it varies depending on what weapon you do. But let's say for the base of all intents and purposes, we have a Mina with no blue. So what I always do is I always make sure I hit the move tool again. That way I never, ever accidentally select a color again. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to quickly load in a background in the SC logo. For the SC logo, I went in Google and downloaded Soulcalibur, or typed in Soulcalibur VI logo PNG. I know. I am very basic. You think I'm going to go and take a picture of the freaking title screen and do all that? Nah. Yeah, so I already had a logo selected from before, but now as you see down here where my mouse is, behind my stupid head. Oh god, when I said add alpha chat, okay, yeah, it'd be above my head instead. I'll zoom in and editing. I'm giving myself editing tips while I'm insane. Alright, anyway. So yeah, we're going to move the background down a layer. I'm actually going to move myself ever so slightly. Thank you. But yeah, so look it. It's a background now behind Mina and the Soulcalibur VI logo. So why I said I always leave space above the hair and everything is so that way I can scale it. So I'll do, my comfortable number is for some reason 2300. I have no idea why. Don't ask me. But that way I can size Mina up. As you see, I think, yeah, some blue pixels survived. So if I saw that, I would immediately, or as we see that, I will immediately hide the other two backgrounds, right? I'll make sure that the layer is highlighted, reselect the select tool, and I will start deleting more and more pixels. I'll be like, get out of here. And then I will zoom in really close. This is when I start going absolutely mental and just really start hardcoring, just deleting anything that is not the color I selected. Or any of the color that I did select from the Soulcalibur screen, right? Alright, so we got that in here. And again, it's all to preference on what you want your thumbnails to be. I'm just showing you what I do. Again, 2 minutes. If I wasn't talking and explaining things, this would be done. And it almost already is done. So I will load back in the layers, right? And then for the background, as you see down here, it actually has the song name that I have selected. Well, I don't want that in the thumbnail. That sounds a little unprofessional. Let's enhance this a little bit. Let's scale this up. Hey, look at the logo's still there. Oh, let's just move this a little bit. Perfect. And then I will just simply move this logo down. What I try to do is try to stay in its original position. Try to stay in its original box. That way it's... Because I think it automatically homes it to the center of the thing, but I'm not sure. But I will just drag it down here. And voila. I will show on the editing how this thumbnail now looks. But yeah. So that is how I make thumbnails. One thing to note, YouTube is weird and doesn't like thumbnails being more than 2 megabytes. So if the PNG version of my thumbnails is too big, I'd simply turn it into a JPEG and mess with the quality from there. Normally all I have to do is turn up JPEG's quality up to 100%, and it's less than 2 megabytes. But just letting you know, the more things you add in your thumbnails, the higher and bigger your thumbnail file will be. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. Hopefully I helped in any kind of regard. Again, I will be linking a whole bunch of stuff down below of various things that I've talked about in this video. If you have any questions, I will try to answer in the comments, but again, this is just how I make Soulcalibur videos, and with like some advice and setups of what I have. Again, everything is subjective, and it's your setup. It's unique to you. So experiment, try different settings, try different types of things. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I am probably gonna go and drink a crap ton of water because my god, my throat was freaking dry. Side note, treat yourselves, stay healthy, and don't make videos when you're sick. I'll try to edit it down in something that makes sense, and I'll probably have like little jump cuts here and there. I don't know why I'm explaining this at the end of the video. Don't make videos when you're sick. Take it easy, everybody. Thank you guys for supporting the channel. I hope this helps. And yeah, that's about it. Take it easy. Bye.